and shine. Come along and rise and shine. Come on and shine. Come along and ride on a light walker Johnny. Light walker Johnny. Yeah. Come along and ride on a light walker Johnny. Yeah.
Hello there. Hello. Welcome to episode 36 of the Sunday Soul podcast. I have Beyond Galaxies playing in the background. Want a little background music for the evening as we come together and talk about how to jump timelines. Talk about this living in parallel realities, talk about this concept of, quantum jumping and reality transurfing. I know that there have been a lot or some teachings out here in regard to that, but I thought this was quite appropriate considering at the time of this recording, it is the 8/8 Lionsgate. And this Lionsgate new moon, we've talked about it extensively on the channel, I think fairly extensively. And I'm sure you've seen and heard, you've probably listened to a number of podcasts or you've seen a number of YouTube videos, all in regard to this Lionsgate portal and how significant this portal truly is. So I felt it quite important to dive into somewhat of a channeled message. This is going to be an amalgamation of a couple of different channeled messages that I have received, wisdom that has been downloaded over the last few days. And I just feel it's very critical that I bring this to you because this portal truly did give us as spiritual beings having a human experience, did give us some additional energizing, some really awesome evolutionary steps and activations, I think is the word that we're looking for. A lot of activations that are enabling us to move forward and enabling us to begin to walk in our quantumness in a true starseed next generation manner. Now, what do I mean by jumping timelines? I mean that you are living in a timeline right now that is your reality in this third dimensional matrix. That timeline, that storyline, we could call it jumping storylines or changing your storyline, could be anything. It could be that you have, a spouse or a partner and children and a job, and they have a job, and everybody's going back to school in the fall. And, that could be, right? You got, a cat or two, and here comes Gemini, a cat or two, and, a dog, right? That could be your timeline, the timeline that you're residing in. Your timeline could very well be that you are seeking to get out of a narcissistic, toxic relationship. And sorry, I guess I had to move the cat. And that you've been undergoing or living underneath narcissistic abuse for years. That could be your timeline. And it's time for you to shift out of that. Your timeline could be right now that that you have some spiritual gifts and abilities, and you've been investigating how to use those, but you're not quite sure how yet. Or you've begun using them and you want to elevate that into the next level. There are many different timelines that you could be living on right now, today. The question I have for you, and the question I think that you're being asked to review, is that the timeline you want to live in? Is that the reality you truly desire? Are there aspects of that reality that do not align with what your higher self, what you truly feel and believe in your heart, is what you're meant to do? I can't answer that question for you, but my guess is that for a lot of us, it's not. For a lot of us, we're on this hamster wheel of manifestation. We're on this hamster wheel of how we've been taught to bring things into existence. And I will say, because really manifestation, let's just be honest with it. When you manifest something into your world, into your third dimensional being that isn't here right now, you have changed the timeline. You have changed your reality. I don't know if any of you watched Loki on Disney Plus. No tea, no shade on Disney Plus or Disney as a company. But if you got a chance to watch the Loki Disney Plus series, it was all about Loki, the Loki we know in the Marvel comics, being a variant. At the end of, what was it, Endgame? When they were going and getting the Tesseract, they jumped timelines in that movie. You haven't seen that? And they went back in time and to go get this Tesseract so that they could defeat their enemy, Thanos. And so the Tesseract is, dropped out of the suitcase, and Loki picks up the Tesseract and uses it because he knew how to use it. And he then puts himself in the middle of a desert somewhere. Well, we pick him up there, and the time variant authorities, the TVA, they came and got him and took him and said, hey, you weren't supposed to do that. You went off of the sacred timeline. And then he meets up with other variants of himself. One is a child, one is an older man, one is a woman, one is really like warring and aggressive, one's an alligator. But he meets up with all of these different quote unquote Lokis that have all been living in parallel or different, I wouldn't even call them parallel, various timelines in their reality, in their universe. And they somehow varied off of their sacred timeline in their universe, in their reality. Well, as I'm watching this, if you've ever felt, what is deja vu? Deja vu is when you kind of, your current self, meet up with what was before, or you've seen it before, you've lived it before. So a lot of times we would say that deja vu is you catching up to or reliving a moment that your future self already lived, and now your current self in the present has caught up to that moment in time. But if you really think about it and you believe in various lifetimes and multiple lifetimes, there are different aspects of you or different variations of you, let's just say, littered across the universe, littered across the dimensions, littered across the timelines. And some of them are living very different lives. but there's still aspects of you. Why? Because you are a multi-dimensional being. You are not only who you are in the 3D, you are a multi-dimensional being. That's a little crazy. That's a little nuts. But I want you to let that sit and think about that for a second. So when I'm talking about jumping timelines or making quantum jumps or reality transurfing, now this is not a concept that is foreign and new. There have been many people across many decades that have written about reality transurfing. And many great minds have thought about this and taught on this. And even today on YouTube, you can find some videos on that. I want to bring it to you in a different way, though. I was in a meeting yesterday with some of my very, very, very close spiritual friends. And I was sitting there feeling a little out of place and listening to some things and some wisdoms that were true, but some felt very outdated. Felt like it was the Bible, we would say old manna. And I started just kind of channeling and writing down, what do we do with these old wisdoms? What do we do with the old teaching? So some of what we're going to teach today, I haven't in I think it's Neville, I think it is, wrote about reality transurfing. Someone will tell me, I'm sure, but I haven't read his work. I've heard a little bit about it. But what I'm bringing to you today is a next level for, I hope, an explanation, a bit of an explanation of what we do and how we can truly open our own portals and truly be an active participant in this timeline jumping, an active participant in this quantum jumping, reality surfing, reality transurfing, and choosing to live in the timeline that we so desire. You know, much like the Matrix, when, you know, if Neo or Trinity or anyone needed something in the Matrix, they would call back to the base, back to the ship. I need da 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 da. And immediately their reality would change and they would have exactly what it is they desired and they manifested. You see, we've been taught originally, right? We all know The Secret and all of that. And then we've been taught even more about this reality transurfing, where when we truly embody the frequency of something, then that something then comes to us a lot faster. We close a quantum gap when we truly believe that it is already here, when we choose the reality in which we want to live. But what I'm about to show you, I'm going to share my screen now. What I'm about to show you is the mechanics, I believe, that I've been told behind that. Now, the old teaching is not without value because I do believe it's foundational. But I'm just going to ask you to open yourself up to the wisdom that we've been given and we are going to continue to be given, especially at this time of this 8-8 Lionsgate portal. There's something I want to just share with you. Someone wrote in an email I thought was really interesting to me. This is from Tia Johnson, and she's talking about the new moon. that this is a great time for many great things, but in using this energy, you'll be speeding up the desires you want to manifest, as well as letting go of other things. You see, when we cut across timelines and make quantum jumps into other realities, there are some things we have to let go in this current time. Like we got to be willing to let everything go. Right? Because it's no longer going to serve us. So we got to be willing to let it go. All right? At the same time, we have to be willing to allow our desires to manifest, and ready and willing and able, and especially at this time, you've got about 4 more days here till the 12th of August to really use this energy to its fullest. So let's share this graphic. Now, this isn't the best. I didn't have this like created by somebody. We'll have it doctored up and it'll be cutesy by the time I get done. Oh, good gravy. Hold on one second. I forgot I got to open up something in order for that to work. You'd think this is the first time I've ever shared a screen in my life. Bear with me, guys. Here we are. So for those of you that are watching or listening on a streaming platform, I've put up a graphic, and hopefully I can figure out if you go to Lightworker Academy, heartofinspiration.net. We'll get this up on the website for free. And you could just look at it then. You could download it. But at the top, I put, as you raise your vibration, you open portals. This is a real 3rd grade type, right? This is like maybe even kindergarten. Okay, guys, this isn't anything earth shattering in this graphic. But what I want you to recognize is this. There's this green line, so there's dimensions are going up and up. 3rd dimension is in green, 4th dimension is like this yellow dotted line, 5th dimension is the blue line to represent kind of like your 3rd eye, right? 6th, 7th, 8th, on and on. I left those as purple, some solid, some dashed. What came to me during a recent Q&A session during our practical Lightworker course time, what came to me was that as we raise our vibrational set point, as we meditate, as we clear our chakras, as we align our chakras, as we heal energetic trauma, as we choose not to live trapped in our lower 3 chakras, but instead live from our higher being, our higher self, from our higher frequency set points. These blue arrows represent our frequency set point raising. What do I mean by a frequency set point? We've heard this from others. This isn't groundbreaking. But a frequency set point is kind of like your resting place, right? Your control, your baseline. So before you went through your awakening, you probably lived at a baseline that was rather low. You were probably living out of your solar plexus, sacral, root chakra area, sometimes heart chakra, lower heart. But my guess is that if you're anything like me, and I'm just going to talk about myself, yes, I had intuitive gifts, excuse me, working at play. But I didn't live by that. I was living for survival, raising 3 kids or whatnot, or even as a child, just trying to survive a very fear-based, rather violent at times and emotionally traumatic all the time childhood. So that was just self-preservation. That's survival. There was no real time to explore who I really was or anything else like that. It was just, I'm trying to survive. And I'm just trying to make sure I can get out of there. And I'm trying to make sure I get out of there without losing my mind. Right. And then you leave, and then, you go buck wild and you go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs for a little bit. But my point is that I was living out of my primal earthly self, lower 3 chakras. Okay. Lower 3 chakras, which means that I was trapped within time, 4th dimension. I'm counting time. I'm counting the time until I can leave. I'm counting the time until I can be free. I'm counting the time until my boyfriend and I, or my husband and I break up, or he moves, or I move, or whatever. I'm counting the time to my next paycheck. I'm counting the time that I'm bound by time. I worked a job that paid me by my time. Right? Didn't have my own company. I traded my time for money. I paid for my babysitters, my daycare time to take care of my kids. Time. I was bound by time. I lived by time. I was biding my time until I could go out and leave and go to school, to college. So I was bound by time because I'm living out of my lower chakras. Okay? When you live out of your lower chakras, I'm going to put this here. When you live out of your lower chakras, you are bound by time. You cannot get up any higher than the 4th dimension. You can't even really reach the 4th dimension because you can't really change time. You can't. If you are living solar plexus down. Just an impossibility. I'm not saying nothing against nobody. I'm not that's just a reality. Matter of fact, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just throw up here another chart so that you guys can see what I'm talking about real quick. Let me just Virgo, don't do that. Virgo. Sorry guys, Virgo is like literally demolishing my crystal grid. She thinks it's cute. She thinks it's interesting. Stop. My God, today, I'm telling you, those of you that are listening, and I wish you could see what my cat is doing. You guys would just be really interested. You would laugh. I wish I could show it. Okay, let me go a little bit bigger so you guys can see this. Hang on, delete this. Bear with me. We're just making stuff on the fly. If you have seen any of my Hermetic Principle videos, you've seen this. So let me share this with you guys here on the screen, but I'm going to blow it up real nice and big. Okay. When you're living, and this is a little off because really anything 300-ish 350 or less is really down here in this solar plexus chakra area. Not until you get to the 400s, and I'd say about 420-ish, where you get above reason, do you start living in this higher heart area. So everything 350, let me see if I can make a quick line here. Everything 350 or below, really, this is all solar plexus and below. Shame, guilt, apathy, that's all down here in the root chakra. Grief, fear, desire, anger, pride, it's going to get into your sacral chakra. Courage, neutrality, willingness, and acceptance is getting into your solar plexus chakra. When we're crossing that border, reason at 400, love, joy, peace, and enlightenment 700 and above, you're talking third eye, crown chakra area. So if you're living in any of this down here, then you cannot get above fourth dimensional time. You don't have that capability. You don't have that frequency to kind of push through and get above the frequency of time. It is when you get to this 400, 420-ish above and love and this and that and the other. And the reason why I say love for sure at 500 is because we see in every creation story that, right, God, spirit, creator, creatrix is love. Then that love created light. And that love emoted and moved on the earth or on matter or rearranged the matter and created what we see in this matrix. All of that was created through love and above. It wasn't created through anything below. All of the energies below then operate here on the third dimension, and that's where they live, that's where they reside. What is my point to all that? My point to all that is this: as we meditate, as we raise our vibrational set point, the energy that we are sending out then, the energy we're sending out literally breaks through the barrier. When we get past reason and all of that and start emoting from a vibrational set point or a resting point or a baseline of love, this is why a lot of religions talk about walking in love. When you walk in love, you are walking in the energy that literally created everything you see, everything you feel, everything you know, everything you can hear, touch, smell. You are walking in creative, you are emitting, emoting, imbuing, embodying the energy of creation, at least on a lower level, a lower vibration, a lower octave. So as in each of these diagrams, as we raise, right? Let's just say first, we've been, meditating and whatnot, and we end up like releasing a lot of this energetic trauma and hurt and healing and transforming it, right? So the vibrational energy we're sending out is this blue arrow, and finally that energy is able to transcend time. It opens up a gateway so that the yellow arrows that are pointing down, what can come down then is of a higher dimensional reality. Now, how do I know this? Because whenever I'm doing energy work and I'm helping someone, through various modalities, Reiki and whatnot, and we go in and we do chakra healing. Well, one of the first things that we're doing when we're doing chakra healing, or when we're healing past, or not just past life trauma, but trauma and energetic trauma in your current lifetime, what we're doing is we're going back in time, air quotes, we're going back in time to when the injury occurred. And we're dealing with that moment in time, even though it's not the current moment in time. In other words, we don't care that there is time in that moment. We don't care that when we are dealing with an energetic trauma and wanting to transform, release, heal, empower, transmute it, and reintegrate it, we don't care that there's time, that it happened. It could have happened yesterday. It could have happened 10 years ago. It could have happened 20 years ago. It could have happened 200 years ago in a previous lifetime. You're still carrying around that energetic trauma. That energy still resides within you, and it is still attracting a negative response, or you're unable to properly respond to it in a whole and healed way. Therefore, what must we do? We must, in effect, go back in time to that place, take our consciousness back in time to that space, and do our healing and forgiveness and transmutation and all of this work there. But you don't live there in your physical being, do you? You live, air quotes, here. This is the present. We're in fact then crossing, demolishing. We don't care. We're traversing time and getting into the space where all is. You see, outside of time, everything exists at the same moment. The present, the past, and the future do not exist past fourth dimension. They are all coexisting in the same instant. There is no differentiation. When higher dimensional beings have to talk to us and they're channeling through us, they'll say things like, in what you call today, or in what you know to be the year 2021, or in what you knew to be the year 2019, whatever the case is. They refer to it in that way because to them, it's not the same scale. That's very difficult for your third dimensional mind to wrap itself around. So I don't want you to really, really try in that regard. But what I want you to do instead is just think about it this way. You can exist in a space, in a moment, in an energy where past, present, and future all coexist. In that space, usually we get there through meditation, or again, when we're doing energy work or something like that, or you can choose to live there. But in that space, you get to go back and change things. For me, there are a lot of things about my childhood I choose not to remember. It's not that they didn't happen, but what do? We put them, out of our mind because they're too, painful to recall. And it causes just the replay of that continually in our brains will cause us to be upset, right? We'll have all this bad energy. And we don't want that, right? We don't want that. So we choose to not live. We choose to forget. I did. I've chosen to forget a number of things. Now, a number of things have come back because I have to deal with them. But there's a lot that I just put away. And honestly, there's a lot of times where it just made sense to put it away and I don't feel the need to pick it back up. So we bend time, we bend our recollection. We talk about revisionist history. This is going somewhere, so stick with me. So if we can bend time or ignore time and go back in time and change, we have the ability to change our response to the issue, what caused our trauma, because we are flowing in forgiveness and compassion for ourselves and the other person. And we have the ability to change the account so we don't take so much of that into account. In other words, we don't allow it to hit us the same way anymore. Then my God, we can do that for the past. Why can't we do it for the future? You see, what happens when we break through the fourth dimensional barrier here, what happens then is that then opens up the flow of energy, the flow of higher dimensional realities, abilities, capabilities, wisdoms, knowledge, technologies, all sorts of things that allows that to flow in. What that also allows is we are allowed then access to our higher self in that dimension. In that dimension that we have raised our higher vibrational set point to, that we're accessing. So when you get and bust through the fourth dimension and you get used to living at a higher frequency, so when you get to the point where you're living more in the level of neutrality, so you're flowing in love more, we're flowing in gratitude, we're flowing in appreciation. We've been attuned to like a Reiki level or something along those lines, or we're just, we've done a lot of the heart healing and all of that. Then we are emitting a higher frequency. As we emit that higher frequency as a being, we naturally then attract higher frequency energy. What is that higher frequency energy? Well, now we're talking about like a Palladian type energy. We're talking about, right, that fifth dimensional being type energy. And what those fifth dimensional beings, how they operate in that dimension. We begin to access the aspects of ourselves that are of higher dimensions. You are an infinite being, which means you do expand across multiple dimensions. Some of us have access to some of our higher dimensional origins more so than others. But do you understand what we're doing here? By us raising our vibration, we open up and bust open our own personal portals. And then when these cosmic portals, like the 8-8 Lions Gate, that is really interactive with, the star system, the Sirius, Sirius star system. When we activate and go into those energies and we come into contact and we allow those energies to really flow in our lives in a real way, oh boy, it amplifies what we're already doing. Now, so when you want to jump into a different timeline, then the second set of arrows I have, this person has really been doing a lot of the work. I cannot stress enough how important meditation is, and allowing yourself, like the Merkaba activation, allowing yourself to travel astrally, allowing all of these things to happen, how critically important that is in this process. Because the more time you spend in meditation, the more healing that you do, the more you get accustomed to just allowing this energy to flow through your chakras just so cleanly and clearly in a crystalline manner. The more we go through the DNA upgrades, the more we activate our light codes, right? This is what we do. The more we do that, the higher the frequency we emit from, the stronger our auric field is, the stronger and the higher our signal is, our vibration is, everything's vibrating. The stronger our ethereal vibration is, and the stronger the ethereal vibration is, the more dimensions that we get to, the higher we get, and the bigger, or the more active, I should say, the portal is. So in the second example, this individual is all the way going like seventh dimension. They've kind of got through the, let's just say, the crown chakra to the ka, right? They're getting to that ka chakra where that energy is just, man, it's just flowing so freely. It's easier for them to go and achieve mediumship. It's easier for them to astral travel. It's easier for them to project. It's easier for them to have a stronger intuition and premonition and precognition and clairsentience and clairaudience and all of these wonderful things. It's easier. Why? Because they're not constrained by time. It is pure it's energy. Like they know that their energetic, their ethereal being is in fact controlling their avatar, their third dimensional being. From that perspective up there, what choices can you make from a seventh dimensional Sirius A and B Orion, you know what I'm saying? Like in that general area. What can you do from there, man? What can those star seeds, man, do you know how much information you have up there? Do you know how much wisdom you have up there? Do you know that you can choose to say, you know what? This is not the timeline I want. I'm going to tap into my higher self. I'm going to continue to open up this portal and these portals and look down and say, oh, wait, that is the timeline. In the third and final, at the end, this person is just flowing above eighth and above. And eighth and above, this is where we get to a lot of the channeling, right? Constant downloads, flowing in light language. Like, this is when sometimes you'll find some of us who do that, who've opened that portal and that channel. You'll find sometimes we have a hard time speaking in, just speaking like normal language or something, because we can't find the words to describe what it is we're trying to say. But then almost like telepathically or energetically, you all know exactly what I'm talking about. And even though I can't find the right words, you're like, oh yeah, no, I get it. No problems. So we open up these portals each and every time, and we strengthen actually our own portal each and every time. What is a portal? A portal is a doorway. A portal is a gateway. A portal is an opening. So as you are living in this higher portal realm, as you are going through your portal and you are meditating and you are connected, and you are even connected outside of meditation. The connection happens during meditation. The connection is sustained outside of meditation. So as you sustain this connection outside of meditation, beloved, what happens is you continually hear from your highest self regarding your highest good in concert and conjunction with source energy, in concert and conjunction with spirit. So these portals open, or this portal opens, and it gets stronger and it gets stronger and it gets stronger. And pretty soon, what's happening is you are no longer living in a status that is confined to third dimensional concepts and time, but you are now living in a reality that knows no time, where time, past, present, and future all exist in the same moment. So if I don't like how my life is today, I change it today. I sit with my highest self and I listen and I write down the intentions of what is my highest good. And then I meditate on that and I affirm that and I speak that into reality where it's here, but I speak about it because it already exists, because it exists in the ethers before it exists on the planet. This works for anything. This isn't regulated to certain things. The quantum jumping, the timeline jumping, honestly, I've seen a lot of people talk about this. And where I feel like they've missed it is that we need to equate it in the same way that when you go and you do work and you do energy work, if you schedule it with myself, if you schedule it with anyone, right? Well, hopefully anyone that's come through my practical light worker course for sure. You're going to go through this process of forgiveness and go through this process of, if you've done past life regressions or anything of that nature, you have no doubt when you're doing that work that you're going back in time and correcting and healing and transmuting. So why do we doubt so much that we can't go forward in time and change that up? It's the same thing. You're going within, and instead of going backward to what your third dimensional mind has recalled and plays back for you, you're now going ahead to what your future self, air quotes, your future self knows to be true. Your highest self knows to be true. And then you're bringing that back into reality. So this is manifestation and all of that all at the same time. And we have a comment that WD jumped a few times last year. At least everyone in my life has changed. I changed first. It was wild seeing how much changed around me, though. Yes, exactly. You change first, right? That's why I was talking about the meditation and all of that. You change first, and then everything else changes around you, but you recreate your world. Now, I don't know if anyone's ever talked about it this way before, but I strongly believe that this is a key to understanding jumping timelines, because you do it when you're going backwards and healing energetic trauma back there. So we need to be okay with doing it going forward. It's the same concept. There's nothing different. The difference is, though, when you're going back in time, we're typically dealing with sacral, solar plexus, not in that order, and root chakra injury, the 3 lower chakras, past. What I'm asking you to do is to tap into the 4 upper chakras. The heart really does present and future, well, does present, past, and future, all 3, but tap into the higher chakras to jump the future. So this is where the development of the higher 3 chakras makes a difference. This is where your meditation time is imperative. I don't care if it's 15 minutes a day. It is imperative. This is why it's so important to be sure that you keep certain frequencies around you, that you exercise your higher chakras through using things like crystal grids, right? Through doing visualizations, right? Through co-creating and exercising those muscles. Because the more you do that, the more you go on and tap into your automatic writing or your channeling or your tarot or your healing or your oh my gosh, why can't I think of it? Your intuitive, your psychic, all of those, right? The more you tap into all of that, then the more real, if you will, or the easier it is to reset your vibrational set point or your baseline from, oh, I got to deal with all this lower chakra stuff, to I'm living in this higher chakra area, this area of neutrality, where I have raised my consciousness up to the point that whatever is going on down there doesn't matter. Because I know that I have chosen that timeline out of all the options, that timeline. And that timeline is as real to me as the past was. If I can change how I interact with that past reality so that that energy changes, why can't you change this one that's in the future? It's the same thing. So this is a lot of the quantum. So bottom line for me, how to jump the timeline. First of all, you have to raise your vibrational set point. That comes through meditation. That comes through affirmation. That comes through healing. All of that. And then you got to do the past, the shadow work, to transmute that energy to give yourself a solid baseline to work from. And then you have to get accustomed to hearing and walking in a strong auric field. You are really testing my child. I thought she was going to turn off everything. And then you must get accustomed to living, lay down, accustomed to living from a higher perspective. In that higher frequency, in that ethereal level where future, past, and present all coexist. And then you grab the future energy just the same way you changed that other energy. You're going to change the future energy and transmute and transform it and bring it on in. That's quantum. That's quantum. That future needs to be just as real to you as your past was. When your future becomes just as real to you as your past, you're choosing a different timeline to live in. You're no longer choosing to just survive. You're choosing to create and to thrive. All right, you guys, I promised myself I would only be on here an hour, and we are almost to the hour. I'm going to pull, hello, everybody that's here and joining me live while we are recording this. And I want to thank everybody for coming. I'm going to pull a Sacred Creators Oracle to close us out. I really appreciate you all. I'm going to get this up here, and while I'm doing this, getting ready to pull this oracle for the collective, I just want to remind you guys, if you are ready to jump that timeline and live in your timeline where you're a light worker, our course, The Practical Light Worker, is going to help you be able to do that. So go in the description box, and there's a Linktree link, and you can go there and book a call with us. Free 15-minute consultation. Myself or one of my team members will talk to you. Or you can just go to heartofinspiration.net and book a free 15-minute consultation, and let's figure out what timeline you actually want to live in. And I pulled this card. It is from the Sacred Creators Oracle, You the Muse. I think that is just so appropriate. You be your own muse. You be your own inspiration. You have it all within you. You're a beautiful, wonderful being. You have it all within you. Be your muse. Be your inspiration. Be your light. Be your own guide. Raise your vibrational set point and jump those timelines. All right, guys. Peace, love, blessings, and joy be unto you today, tomorrow, and for all eternity. I love you so much. Namaste. Bye-bye.